Welcome back to the second and final part of our deep dive into West Virginia's most terrifying mystery. In this episode, we move beyond the initial sighting to uncover the disturbing aftermath. We explore the physical trauma suffered by the witnesses, the alleged government cover-up, and the chilling Men in Black presence in Braxton County. Finally, we connect the dots between the toxic fog of Flatwoods and the rise of the legendary Mothman. Was this an alien visitation or a dark chapter of Cold War history that was never meant to be told? Let's find out. We have explored the chemical fallout, the potential military mistake, but the greatest casualty of that night was not the land, but the minds of the people who witnessed it. For the Flatwoods 7, the trauma began long before the creature vanished. After fleeing the scene, they were afflicted by more than just fear. They suffered from vomiting, convulsions, and persistent respiratory issues. These are not the symptoms of a simple fright. These are the physical realities of toxic exposure. The monster was gone, but the poison remained, silently working its way into their bodies and their memories. In the subsequent days, the terror was compounded by public ridicule. The media, having initially sensationalized the story, quickly dismissed the witnesses as hysterical children and a gullible mother. They were branded liars.
Imagine the weight of seeing something impossible, only to have the entire world tell you that your experience was a delusion. This is a crucial element of the psychological trauma, the complete destruction of personal credibility. They were silenced not just by fear, but by shame. The government's barn owl narrative was designed not to explain the event, but to discredit the witnesses, ensuring no one would investigate the actual toxic nature of the encounter.
The cleanup was swift and silent. Within days, two distinct entities descended upon Flatwoods. First, the media circus. Second, and far more sinister, the unnamed government agents. These were not the Men in Black of later UFO lore. These were Cold War troubleshooters. They moved quietly, collecting samples of the scorched earth, questioning the children repeatedly, and, most importantly, forcing silence. These agents were there to remove evidence of the chemical mistake, not the alien presence. The soil samples, the definitive proof of the toxic residue, were never released. They were buried deep within the bureaucratic labyrinth of Cold War secrecy. What happened to the witnesses? They were forced to carry the burden of the nation's secret. Most of them spent their lives haunted by the physical symptoms and the psychological gaslighting. Many suffered from lifelong ailments, often dismissed as unconnected. Yet, when you look at the proximity of Flatwoods to known toxic waste areas, when you trace the pathways of the Cold War contamination, you realize the monster didn't just hurt them that night, it poisoned their future. The Flatwoods Monster is the shadow of American industrial power, haunting the children who were unlucky enough to stand in its path. So, we have a monster born of poison, a cover-up built on paranoia, and witnesses left to suffer the consequences. But the final piece of the puzzle remains. We began this journey seeking a monster from the stars. We end it looking into the abyss of our own history. The Flatwoods Monster was not a creature of the cosmos, it was a ghost of the Cold War. The intense light, the sizzling noise, the towering figure, the paralyzing dread, and most crucially, the toxic, choking fog, all point to a single, terrifying probability. A military experimental device, perhaps a drone or a testing unit, catastrophically failed, releasing a volatile chemical agent into the West Virginia woods. The figure seen by the children was an operator or soldier clad in an early, bulky, reflective containment suit, desperately trying to manage the disaster. The government didn't cover up an alien landing, they covered up an act of environmental negligence and chemical poisoning. But the question remains, why did the lie, the barn owl, and the fantasy, the alien spaceman, take hold so completely? Because in the 1950s, it was easier for the American public to believe in a threat from outer space than to face the truth that their own government, the very authority sworn to protect them, was willing to conduct dangerous, toxic experiments right next to their homes. The alien conspiracy is comforting because it externalizes the threat. The truth that the monster was made in a government lab fueled by industrial waste is a far more paralyzing fear. It destroys trust, and that is why it was suppressed. The Flatwoods Monster is therefore a symbolic figure. It is the perfect convergence of industrial toxicity, state paranoia, and the psychological burden of the witnesses. Its terrifying 10-foot metallic form is not the face of an alien civilization. It is the ugly, haunting reflection of our own society's darkest secrets. The Flatwoods Monster, then, was not an invader from space. It was the horrific, breathing fallout of the American Cold War machine, a terrifying warning sign that our scientific ambition had poisoned the ecology and that the land itself had manifested a monster in its defense. What does the Flatwoods Monster ultimately tell us about the American psyche? Why do we prefer the terror of the alien over the terrifying incompetence of our own leaders?